Welcome to the Victory Wilson Show, dedicated to providing valuable insights and solutions by addressing various challenges and traumas that individuals may have encountered in their various lives. Trust that on the Victory Wilson Show, we have professional psychotherapists, counselors, psychologists to provide professional insights and strategies that you can apply to deal with that difficult situation. My name is Victory Wilson, your host. On today's show, we have heard the story of Omotara, and we will be dealing with surviving the very traumatic experience of rape. To give us professional insights on the show today, we have Mrs. Ayodeji Michael Oni, also known as MTish. So MTish is the CEO of Amon Gem, and she is a certified psychotherapist, a mental health associate, and advocate as well, that focusing on empowering individuals through coaching, counseling, and campaigns. And we are excited to have her. Thank you so much, MTish, for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
You look amazing as always.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Okay, I'm excited to have you on the show because this topic that we are treating is one that you specialize in, mental health and traumatic experience. We've heard the story of Omotara, of how she was raped at the age of 6 and how this is affecting her from functioning properly like she would love to, and how she's even blaming herself like she's the cause, the stigmatization from even her mother, and her stepfather, thinking like she's the one that's the reason why she's not a virgin. So how would you analyze this whole story, and how best can she deal with this so that she can function properly like she would want to?
All right. So, for this particular story, it falls under PTSD.
Yes.
And PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, is a kind of disorder that develops from people that have gone through shocking, painful, hurtful experiences.
Yes.
Now, this thought comes back and it looks so real, like when it first happened. And so for this particular lady, for Omotara, I heard her story. It was a very emotional one. What I would tell her is she needs to first and foremost accept the fact that this thing happened. Acknowledge it. Yes, I was raped. Yes, we understand the stigmatization, the discrimination, and all of these things associated with this PTSD. But the truth is, it has happened. You need to stop living in denial. It has happened. It doesn't matter how anybody feels about it, no matter how close the person is to you. It has happened, because if you don't acknowledge it, the truth is people around you are even acknowledging it
For you.
and that's the reason why they do the things they do. So you need to first and foremost acknowledge this thing. It happened. Number 2, you need to accept that it's not your fault. You didn't influence it. You didn't seduce nobody. At the age of 6, what do you have that would probably, seduce any man?
Except the man is sick.
He's just a pedophile, he just took advantage of the fact that she's a child. So you need to stop blaming yourself. You didn't influence it. You didn't curse it. You were helpless. There was nothing you could have done at the age of 6 to help that situation. So accept the fact that it's not your fault. Number 3, be in tune with yourself. Be in tune with yourself. Be present with yourself. Be present in your own body. So a lot of times, people that are going through PTSD are lost in thoughts. They are just always attributing things to things. This thing happened because of this. I'm going through this. See, a boy would break up with you even without you being raped. Yes. So when things happen, you tend to attribute it. Oh, it's because I was raped, this thing happened to me. It's because I was raped, guys are not looking at me. It's because I was raped, guys are breaking up with me. No. If you were not raped, it would have still happened. Find out from your friends that were not raped if they are not going through heartbreaks.
The same thing.
You understand?
They are collecting breakfasts every minute, every second.
So it's not because you were raped, so be in tune with yourself. And, that's another point. The last 2 points that I would say is be patient with yourself. Be patient with yourself. Take it one step at a time. Don't be hard on yourself. Be patient with yourself. Healing takes time. I tell people it is a journey. It is not a destination. Even if you were not raped, something else would have still happened or could still happen, and you would be hurt. So be patient with yourself. Allow yourself time. Cut yourself some slack with time. Take it one step at a time. Lastly, it's okay not to be okay. Cry. If anything happens and you just feel that, oh, is it because, let it out. Cry. So it's okay not to be okay. And lastly, professionally seek help.
I think I would even take that if something happens and then you think about it and say, is it because of this? And you cry about it, you let it out.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something I've heard from someone say the more you speak about something, a bad experience, the lesser effects it tends to have on you. You've cried about this thing for a very long time. Oh, I was raped. It will get to a time that you will not be telling yourself that, oh, it's okay. So I buy into that. Let it out. Speak about it. But my own concern is now as to the part where she says that, whenever she's trying to have a good time in her relationship, she now thinks about, she sees that same thing happening. I think there's a psychological term for that.
Yeah.
If you would help us with that. Sees that like it's like deja vu or something, happening again. It's like you're seeing that person. Is there any technique that, one can apply or use to make sure that, you save yourself from that kind of trauma? Because that's a traumatic experience on its own, reliving that experience. So what can she do, or what can anyone in that situation do to not experience something like that? I know it's hard, but I'm sure that there are steps that can be taken.
Sure. So I didn't want to go into all of the psychological terms and
Oh, please go
the
into
ambiguous
it, because that's why we
words.
have you as a professional on the show.
I was going to talk about the 3 Fs.
Yes,
The
please.
fact that when these things come back, there would always be a comeback. There would always be triggers. And so when these things come back, what happens is that the first thing is there's this heightened fear. You are frightened. Everything just looks so real, so surreal. As a friend of mine, or a client that was raped, told me that she was raped by her stepfather, and so she said every time she's with the husband, she sees the face of the stepfather in the husband, and at some point she would even be calling the man's name. Thank God she had told the husband these things, and so the husband was there to hold her hands in all of those times. So the fright is there. It's so real. It's so real. And the second one I was going to talk about, is the flight. You want to take off. You want to run away from it. And that's why I proposed being in tune with yourself. You cannot run from it because this thing has happened. You need to accept the reality. And the last one is the fight. So it's two things. Is that the thing fights you or you fight it? There would always be a fight. So you need to tell yourself that you will fight and win. You would fight and win. Don't allow this thing to weigh you down for too long. It would weigh you down. And what you're doing, I can tell you, Miss Victory, is amazing.
Thank you.
Because platforms like this, where people share their stories, thank God that, this awareness is building up and people can come out to tell their stories.
Yeah.
You will be surprised. A lot of our mothers, have gone through this thing. One of those days I was sharing in a certain religious organization, and the pastor's wife called me to her office and said, "Do you know that I was raped 42 years ago?" And she said she has never talked about it. She said, so when I was talking, she just realized, could this be the reason why she's so hard on her children? Because she's trying to be careful. She is now extra careful. She doesn't allow them go out. She doesn't allow this. She doesn't allow
That's the
this.
effect.
And I didn't even know that one of the ladies that talked with me out there before she called me to her office happened to be her first daughter.
My God.
And she has been raped.
And she has been raped. So if the mother should hear that now, the mom will think that's another case that we're going to deal with on the show. The mom will think it's a generational curse, because we have another case like that where people think that they're generational curses when something has happened to you and then it's happening to your child again.
Becomes a pattern.
It's not like a pattern in the family.
Yes.
But could it be something like that?
So
Or it's just
it's
just life happening.
Life happens.
It's just life
but
happening.
it depends on how you want to interpret it. And you can choose to interpret it in whichever way you think or whatever would work for you. But what I say is you cannot take spirituality out of mental health.
Mental health.
You cannot.
There's still spirituality involved.
You cannot take it out. I mean, how do you explain people hearing voices?
Mm.
How do you explain illusions? How do you explain hallucinations?
How do you even explain this one of seeing the same thing that's happening in the past?
How do you explain nightmares? How?
So how best can we, because I'm now putting myself in the position of other people that have gone through this situation and want to get out of it. How best can we, navigate through this difficult thing? Because it looks, from everything you've explained, it will always be there. Yeah. So now I would like to pick the third F, fight. Yeah. What's the best way? What's the best weapon to fight this?
So the fighting thing is not a one-off fight. No, it's not. If I tell you it's a one-off fight, I'm deceiving you. And I'm trying to offer you gold that is actually not gold.
Available.
So I'm not going to tell you that you fight once and I'm like, oh, I'm okay, I'm healed. No, that's you deceiving yourself. Because when reality comes again, you break down, you're like, I thought I was healed.
So how can we fight? So
it's a continuous fight. And you keep repeating these things. See, everything I've said now, take it again, over again. Be in tune with yourself. Practice self-care. That's one thing, again, that we don't normally do in this part of the world. Practicing self-care. Don't say because something happened to you, you get out of, what is obtainable, achievable. You don't want to do anything, because the truth is, one of the things that happens when people go through PTSD is they withdraw. They don't want to have relationship with people. They don't want to be social anxiety sets in.
They just zone out.
They don't want to mix with people. So you just go all out, enjoy yourself. Take whatever coping mechanism that would help you live optimally. Whatever coping mechanism you can take to singing, you can take to dancing. There's dance therapy. You can exercise. You can, take to fashion. People cope with fashion.
And then you mentioned the story of this woman that I'm also interested in, because we have people like that will be watching as well. Okay. People that would, because of their own experience, they're trying to be hard on their children. What's the best advice you give to them? So because people like Omotara might grow up to and become that woman.
Yes.
Oh, this happened to me. I'm not scared. I can't leave. But I think it's a good advice to not leave your children with men. In short, with boys. Because, they might want to experiment something. There's only so much that we can do to protect these children. Yeah, I think it's a good advice to not leave your children with boys. But they might want to be extra careful like that woman. And in turn, at the end of the day, upon how careful she is, the daughter got raped, which is so sad.
Yes.
But how best can we advise them so that you don't transfer your own traumatic experience, to another person or to your children? The effect of your own experience, you now transfer it. Transfer of aggression or transfer of experience, that kind of thing.
So I said it earlier. Kudos to you. See, platforms like this, you never can tell who would come across this video.
Yeah.
And the truth is, what you don't know cannot kill you.
Cannot kill you.
So a lot of people are not even aware. You heard what I said. She didn't even know. And this is a pastor's wife that is trying to help every other. And I told her, I said, you know what, ma, you cannot even help because you are helpless. So I told her, every lady that comes around you that you are trying to help, you have actually not helped anybody.
Because you've not helped
yourself. You need to be helped to help others. So she said, she broke down. And that's just away from knowing that her daughter has even been raped. That was the part that broke me.
I think she should not
She
know.
cannot even know.
She can never know.
So platforms like these, where they get to hear that, they need to first be aware. Self-awareness is key. Self-awareness would make you know that something is even wrong. And that's where you can say that, okay, the reason why I'm doing this is because of this, is because of that. So that's the number one thing that I would say that can help people like that to know, to help themselves so they can also help others.
Help other people. Yeah. And just practice everything that you've said.
Say
positive things to yourself. And just know that you're not the cause. That person that did that to you is sick in the head. The person has a problem. That person needs a solution to his own problem. Even if it's a woman, that has raped. Because these days we have cases of boys that have been raped by women as well.
Sure.
Yes. So even if it's a woman that has done it, the person has a problem that also needs to be solved. So first of all, you should know that you are not the problem. And it's okay to cry, like she has said. Every time you think about it, cry. And the little thing I know is that when you cry about something for a very long time, it's the same thing with heartbreak, right? When a boy breaks your heart and you cry, 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 you well. After a long time, you will still move on.
Sure.
When people are advising you, move on, move on. Oh, he broke my heart. When you're tired, you move on.
Last.
You will move on.
You're right.
So, but what will help you move on is when you've cried about it enough.
Yeah.
So allow yourself to grieve. I think you should let everything out. Allow yourself grieve. Allow yourself cry. Don't be so hard for no reason. Whenever you think about that experience, please cry, yell. Do anything that you want to do to make you, feel okay so that you can quickly get out of that situation. Am I right, ma'am?
Very, very right.
Okay. Any final words for people watching?
Okay. So this is my final word. Mental health is the real health. So people tend to put more attention on their physical health. When you have headache, you know how to quickly run to the doctor. But when you have mental breakdown,
you're clueless.
You're clueless. You would speak to people that would even agitate you the more and aggravate the situation. So please seek professional help. Seek professional help. Seek support. We have support system everywhere. Thank God for this platform. I'm really impressed with this. And so please, it's okay not to be okay. That's my final word.
Yeah. I wanted to even say something, but let me just quickly chip that in because that's my own experience. I have to chip that. That was your final word, right? You said something that struck me. You said, when it comes to mental health, we're always clueless about what to do. And we even speak to people that aggravate it. There was a time I got into a very terrible situation in my life. I entered 419. I entered the hands of 419. For people that are watching, if you don't know what 419 is, dupers, people that steal from you and make you look like you're useless. So I couldn't tell anyone, but there was somebody that I felt was the most trusted person in my life, a friend of mine, my childhood girlfriend. So I felt like this person knows me. We've gone through so much together, even her family issues. And I feel like I give the best advices. So people always come to me for advice, but I now felt like these people that come to me for advice, they should be able to advise me when the chips are down, for my own sake. And when I got into that situation, she was the first person I called. I couldn't even tell my parents. And I told her, this is what happened to me. Guess what she told me? She's like, you're supposed to be smarter than that.
Oh my
God. How can you? No, Victory, you are calling me to tell me you enter. How? I don't believe you. Are you? She washed me, she made me feel like I was the dumbest person on earth. Like, for that to have happened to me, I was, maybe, I now felt like maybe she has been looking for an opportunity to tell me the story of my life. Like, for over an hour, we were on the phone and she was just lambasting me.
Oh my
and I was just crying. Yes, that's how long our conversations always last. And, after everything, I'm like, And I said, okay, is this all you have to tell me? I said, no, I'm disappointed in you. You can't tell me you lost that kind of amount of money. You still even took loan. What? And that was it. And that even worsened my experience, my grieving time, It worsened everything because after that thing happened, there was nobody else I could talk to. So I just put everything in me and I was just dying inside. Every day I would just cry. I'll go to work, I'll be crying. I couldn't tell anyone because that was my most trusted person.
Imagine.
So if that person can think that I am the dumbest person on earth, that means everybody else will. What would somebody that doesn't know me tell me? So it made me feel terrible. That period, I felt like the worst version of myself. But luckily, I studied psychology, so I could apply some little things and help myself along the way. And you can't take out God as well. So God was so good and kind, and we're here today, and I'm out of it, and I can tell the story without even crying. Then I cannot say anything. I would start crying because it was really terrible. So I think that people should also look for platforms that would help you, not platforms that will kill you. before you tell your friend. So that, because I could deal with that. Somebody else, that might have been the end of the road for her. So take the advice of Mtish. Take your mental health seriously. Look for people that would help you, platforms that would help you, and not people that would break you and destroy you. And deal with it. Grieve if you must. It's okay to grieve. If something bad happens to you, please cry. Take your time. Take days off work. When you get better, you'll be better 100%. I hope that you've learned a lot. Thank you so much for coming on this episode. I'm sure that every Omotara out there has learned a thing or two about coping with this traumatic experience of rape. And it's not an end, it's just a means to an end. So healing is not immediate, like she has said. So if you're thinking that there's one main thing that you do and then you'll be fine immediately, she has said, no, there's nothing like that. So please take your time and enjoy your healing process. And you are not the cause of the problem. Trust me, you will be fine. Thank you once again for staying tuned to this episode. My name is Victory Wilson. See you next time.